The Not So Great Outdoors contains stories of a graphic nature. Viewer discretion is advised. The outdoors are great.
Except when they're not. Welcome to the Not So Great Outdoors. We're your guides. I'm Piff.
And I'm Seb. And happy February, everyone.
Happy February.
I don't really have I don't know. I was
Season
going to say Merry
of
Christmas.
love.
There's nothing, yeah.
I mean, this
Season
comes
of
out the
love.
day after Valentine's Day.
It does.
So.
Okay, I was going to say, I don't really have like a love, everything, no. Except we love you guys. So thank you guys for listening. We do appreciate you. Happy Valentine's. We hope it was whatever you wanted it to be.
Happy discount chocolate day
Yes!
at the stores.
Oh my gosh, that's even better.
It is the
forget all
day
that
after,
Valentine's Day crap.
Go buy yourself some 50% off candy. You deserve it.
And there's probably even flowers on sale, so go do that. Anyway.
What are we talking about?
What are we talking about? Well, this week, travel with me, friends. So friends, colleagues, this is literally how I wrote my intro. Friends, colleagues, fellow spooky loving listeners. That's right. I'm off the cryptids. I'm back on spooky shit right now. Dun dun. Listen, y'all love the cryptids, and I do too. But I'm back on spook today. Travel with me across the pond to London to explore Epping Forest.
Okay.
This was on that list that you had.
I was like, this sounds vaguely familiar. Do I remember anything about it? No.
Thank God. I hate it whenever you're like, oh yeah, I know all about this. You've never been, I know 100% all about this, about any episode, but I always feel like one day it's going to happen.
I might remember bits as you're going through it because it was on the list, but
that's fine. It was on the list.
I don't.
That's fine.
Offhand, I couldn't tell you anything. I'm assuming it's a haunted forest.
It is. So buckle up because this forest, like the others we have explored, is not Snow White.
It's not.
It's not Snow White's forest.
Done.
No, it's up there, right?
Yep, that's up on the wall.
Yep. You know, though, I had this thought. Because when was the last time you watched Snow White?
I don't know. When I was a kid.
Forever ago, yeah, right? But remember that part in the very beginning? It's scary, and she's terrified of everything she sees in the forest. So maybe sometimes it is Snow White's forest. This is for sure that part of Snow White's forest.
The scary part.
The scary part for sure. But as always, I'm going to start off by setting the scene. Things I give Piff shit for because I set the scene and then I get into it.
I like
she
to do
gets
it in
into
the middle.
it and puts it in the middle.
I will say that my February episode, I do set the scene before getting into it.
Thank God.
For once.
Because I'm always like, what happened next? What happened next? Background information. And
now.
Fun facts with Piff. Okay.
An interruption of fun facts.
Cliffhanger.
Yeah, but also mine are usually darker, so sometimes you need a break.
You do need a break. That's true. That is true. I could have taken it. Honestly, I don't know. I thought about sprinkling in more true crime in with this one, but that felt like I was encroaching in on your territory, so I didn't. I mean, I do. I touch on it, but there was some screwed up crap that happened in this forest.
Most of the time, if something's haunted, there's a true crime reason why.
Yeah. But I thought about really getting into the meat of what happened, and I'm like, all right, let's get back to the spooks. Yeah. Come on, get back to the spooks, Av.
That just reminds me. So, and That's How We Drink. They each in the same episode, a paranormal and a true crime, and when they cover Lizzie Borden. In the Lizzie Borden house, they do it backwards. So Em does the haunted, and the next episode, Christine does the true crime. And it's like, I had been planning on doing this anyway, and then you did the haunted part already. So now we should have communicated about this.
Yeah. But that's the whole point, is to not communicate about it so that you get surprised. Yeah. And you're like, well, here we are. Here we are. All right. Now some background information. According to plantlife.org.uk, quote, Epping Forest is the largest public open space in the London area at almost 6,000 acres. A former royal hunting forest, it was saved from destruction in the 19th century by the Corporation of London, and an Act of Parliament entrusted the ownership and care of Epping Forest to the city. The age of the forest and the range of habitats it contains make it a valuable area for wildlife, and it is designated as a site of special scientific interest. Its former status as a working or pasture forest has had a great effect on its ecology. This is particularly evident with the pollarded trees. We will get there at what that means. Which, as they have not been cut since the 19th century, have now grown massive crowns of thick, trunk-like branches. Often the weight of the branches cannot be supported by the parent tree, and the large amount of dead wood in the forest sustains numerous rare species of fungi. End quote.
That's pretty cool. Also, those trees sound very dangerous.
They're really, dangerous, but also really creepy. And if you would like to check out, there are pictures on the blog or on the drive, and pictures on the blog for you all as well, our lovely listeners.
Check out some photographs.
I'm actually going to pull it up myself as well because they're kind of interesting. I mean, there's nothing really, like.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah, they're very. They look like a hand.
Thick, right? She thick. Yeah.
Like coming out of the ground, but I'm a tree. Like, because all of the, like, what I would call fingers are like their own trees.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It is really. And fun fact, one of those, the very last picture, is actually a grab from a YouTube video, and it's like a overall view of the whole forest, which is cool.
Okay.
Which I have that linked.
In the links.
In the links. I almost said LinkedIn. The blog is, So yeah, they just look really weird, and I think that's kind of cool. But that also kind of adds to the weird, like, mystique around.
They're very, like, gnarly.
Yes, that's the word I used for it actually later on. So just to, like, provide a little more, like, not real life application, not like right now, but a little more imagery to what the forest was used for. So flashback to the 17th century, community members were given access to the forest. They keep calling them commoners, and I'm like, I get that because they live in the common area, but commoners just feels so, like.
Isn't commoner like a status in, because like in royalty, it's
commoner means that you live within that area. Oh. Yeah.
I was like, that feels like you're a duke, but you're not a duke. You're just a commoner.
You're a commoner. You're like common person. Yeah.
Commoner.
Yeah. So, but they were given access to the forest as a grazing area for their livestock, specifically cattle and pigs. The cattle would graze on the grasslands, and the pigs would eat tree nuts and other things, both of which worked to keep the forest healthy, and then which in turn helped to keep the trees, which helped the trees to grow and sustain the removal of their branches through a process called pollarding. If you ever want to, just look up, like, tree pollarding or the tree pollard process or something like that, and you'll see pictures of. I almost put a bunch of them in there, and I'm like, this really doesn't apply. But
look at these trees.
But look at these trees, because like the trunk would be so thick, and then they'd have like sticks on the top for like branches. That's it. So it's like so funny to look at. But so the branches of the trees would be removed from the trunk and sent to be used as shipbuilding timber for the Royal Navy at the time. So that's what gives the trees their crazy gnarled look. And they would cut the branches off the top and leave the trunks to grow, and they would produce more branches, and so on and so forth. But they haven't been cut for like ever now. So now they just look.
Now they're just these massive trees with these massive limbs.
Yeah, because they're used to producing the branches, and so once they get used to that, then you can't stop cutting it because they grow too big that they fall off, could potentially harm somebody.
Can you imagine just like you're walking through this already creepy forest and then just tree limb the size of a whole tree.
The size of a tree.
Like a giant tree limb.
Yeah. So, enough background. Now for the spooky. So, but yeah, whole lot. I'm stuck on that now. Like when you're just walking along and then it's just like, boom, tree limb. But okay, so like I said, it's certainly not Snow White's forest. Like once she meets the dwarves and all that, and like her animal friends, like this is not that part of Snow White's forest. Back in the day, it was a popular hideout for the criminals of the day, such as Highwaymen Dick Turpin, Tom King, and Jack Ryan, and murderer Harry Roberts. Now, that's not to say that the Highwaymen didn't. Or the Highwaymen I mentioned didn't also kill people. They for sure, at least one of them for sure did. But I just kept seeing them referred to as Highwaymen, and I just had to get that in there.
Like, what is? How do you become a highwayman? What is a highwayman?
It basically means, for like lack of, I'm not going to make this very sophisticated.
Transient person.
Well, so they would like travel the roadways and like like
hitchhiker.
No.
Okay, no.
They would be on like horseback, and so they would travel highways and like highways. Okay, yeah,
roads,
highways of the day, roads.
Yeah.
And like rob stagecoaches, rob like carriages, and people traveling,
like outlaws.
So, yeah, they were definitely
Wild
outlaws.
West.
Yes.
Okay.
And I didn't. This is where I could have gotten like way more true crimey on this, but I decided not to. But Dick Turpin at the time was painted as like this Robin Hood type character.
Mm-hmm.
So like vigilante, kind of anti-hero, like doing bad things to support the good and like trying to help people. But that is absolutely not who he was as a person, apparently. And there's a lot out there about how, that's actually not correct. He was a horrible person.
Classic.
And so there's this one person who actually works for like the Epping Forest like conservatory. And he was like, no, there was nothing Robin Hood about him. Anytime he killed someone, it was purely for selfish gain. It was not, this is a horrible person, so I'm going to protect the town by getting rid of this horrible person. Absolutely not.
This was not a steal from the rich and give to the poor situation.
Absolutely not. So but yeah, so you hear about him a lot whenever you read like through, which is why I had to like actively choose to not go very true crime, because he's a big part of the Forest like crime background. Basically like him and like all these other guys would like hide out in the forest because at the time it was so thick that if you weren't familiar with the area, it was very easy to get lost. It actually comes in at about 5,900 acres. And it was thick then, and it's even more so now. And once it stopped being cut, it just continued to get more and more thick. Now you can go and visit the forest, and you can like walk through it and like go on paths and like there's things like that. But at the time, that was not a thing, and there were not like clear cut, trails, especially once it stopped getting cut for shipbuilding timber. And so they would like hide out, and I mean, this thing covers. Hold on. I have it in here. One second. However many acres. I think it comes out to be, it's just over 9 square miles. So, like, there's just a lot of potential hiding spots in this place. I think Dick Turpin actually hid in, like, a cave in the middle of the forest. I say in the middle. I don't know exactly where it is. Somewhere in the forest. Yeah. And he would, like, hide out and all that. And so, yeah, crazy stuff. So, in my research, I saw that at least 13 bodies were found in or near Epping Forest between 1966 and 2015. There is a recent-ish 2019 article that I found that 39 bodies were found at one point, but that is not so. That those were like more recent, like happened shortly before that they were found. And I had a hard time like nailing down exactly what happened. They were found in.
Well, they also might not know.
Like, they may not know. And also it sounded a lot. They did not say this. So this is me taking my own liberty. What I think it's like. It sounds an awful lot like a human trafficking situation that went bad. Is what it sounds like.
Yikes.
But I can neither confirm nor deny what happened. I didn't dig that deep into that one because I was like, okay, there's a lot of gray. I don't know. So, but
the important thing is that there's been a lot of bodies in this forest.
And the forest was a popular, not only like a popular, which this feels notorious probably is a better term, a notorious like murder location. Like,
it was like the place to be.
It was the place to go. Apparently, like in the crime circle. Yeah.
You go there, no one really asks any questions.
Yeah.
You didn't see anything. If you see something, no, you didn't.
No, you didn't. And so it was a place where a lot of people were murdered, and it's also a place where a lot of bodies were dumped. So there is kind of gray, and that's why I say in or around, like in or near, because sometimes they were killed outside the forest and taken in, and sometimes, and because it's 9 miles, like 9 square miles, like it's a massive forest, and the community over time grew around it. And so it has just been like this central so wild. But so between 1966 and 2015, At least 13 bodies were found. Honestly, there's a huge chance that there were more found. These were just the only ones that I was like, okay, like I could confirm. Of those 13, 2 are still unidentified. One was found in 1981 and the other in 2003. Experts could not identify the sex of the person found in 2003 because it is thought to have been there for at least 20 years and was too badly decomposed.
That is just a skeleton.
Right? Yeah. Shocking.
And probably if you couldn't, because like normally they use like the pelvic bone to determine sex. And so if you probably don't even have the whole pelvic bone. Some animal ran off with it. It was gnawing on it. I don't know. That's not good.
Weather. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And London, it rains a lot in England, right? I mean, so, you know, that's one of the stereotypes of London and England is that it just rains a lot. And I guess in Europe in general. Like, I hear that a lot. Like, Ireland, you hear that, you know.
It's like the whole UK, I feel like. It's very soggy.
Yeah, yeah. So 2 still unidentified. 3 of the 13 were children.
Oh, no.
Right? Yeah. A 12-year-old boy, an 11-year-old girl, and a 15-year-old girl. And there was at least one couple who were killed in the forest together. Each of the 13 had been murdered. Several were sexually assaulted, and some are thought to still inhabit the forest today.
Of course they are.
Right?
I would too.
Me too. So, imagine some things with me really fast. So, Epping Forest is known to be thick with trees and brush and all of that, right? You know. And its floor, I put flood. Its floor is covered with these limbs that have fallen that are decaying and decaying foliage and stuff. Because if the canopy is so thick, that can hinder the floor level foliage from growing, right? So just picture this. So we've both been on several hikes. You way more than me, but we've both been on several hikes. So think about the last time you walked on a path that was littered with like decaying leaves, limbs like off the trail, you know? So just like, do you remember what that smells like? Do you remember?
Yes.
Right?
I mean, it's like I'm specifically picturing like fall because like we don't have forests that are that dense that I've been in. So I'm thinking like fall, like that smell of decomposing leaves and everything.
But it's a very distinct smell. So I imagine that the whole forest just smells like that. That's what I picture in my head. Because once a wooded area becomes so thick, the wind doesn't move through it as well. So like it's not, you know,
it's like weirdly still, and it doesn't. It has that smell.
Yes,
and it's like a little sour.
Yes.
Yep.
And so I even went on to write like me and you, same page. Because I even go on and I write. Like, to me, when you're walking through woods like that, it's always kind of eerie because everything feels a little extra still. Like, everything feels too still, almost. Like, it's like waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Like,
almost.
You're missing the live part of the forest.
Yes.
Because normally, like, a forest feels alive.
Yeah. So imagine 5,900 acres of that. Imagine getting dropped in the middle of 9 square miles of that. Like, we know there's like wildlife and we know that, but I just feel like it would feel so weird and like claustrophobic in a way.
Well, and you got to think like, okay, there's wildlife in there obviously, but if you're a person walking around and most of the time it's really still, and then you hear like what ends up being like a rabbit skittering, right,
you're gonna be like, what? Yep. And I mean, in this area used to have a really healthy population of deer. I imagine that they still do because obviously it's not hunted anymore. And at a certain point, they had stopped hunting it. And then at one point, they restocked the deer population, but they continued to no longer hunt it. And so I feel like there's still probably a healthy like deer population. So you would hear that. But like, do you know how scary it is? I mean, yes, you do. Like, but how scary it is to hear a deer running through the woods. That's terrifying.
A deer that you can't see.
Yes.
Because the forest is so thick.
Yes. Don't like that. So you're already just normal people walking around in the woods are gonna already be a little bit on edge. So then add on top of that notorious feeling when a place is paranormally active. So add that weird static electricity feeling. Add that weird on edge, someone's watching you feeling.
Like your skin is crawling, you have goosebumps even though it's 80 degrees out.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's like oddly cold even though it's supposed to be warm. Yes. So I did not read anywhere that there were temperature fluctuations on this, but I can't imagine there's not. I don't know.
There are always temperature things when there are ghosty ghosts.
Right?
I'm just saying.
There are. And weird energy fluctuations. Yeah. Okay. So we're on the same. So imagine the hold a place like that could have on the spirits of those who lost their lives there, right? Like, I feel like they would have no choice but to have to stick around.
Yeah. I can also see it like having a hold on like the living, like one of those places that you got to go back to it for some reason, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like if we ever went to visit, it would have to become like a thing that we would do every couple of years, like just to go back. So one of the, obviously there have been many reports of paranormal activity. Like, I can't start this and not be like, yes, there have been several. I can't just be like, imagine how it could be. No, it really is. And I do feel like this forest probably is haunted. And so there have been several reports, and it's thought to be one of the most haunted places in the UK.
Nice. It's like this forest and then Daringwood, which we've also done. Like
this one. So we have talked about Daring, but I read in a couple of places that this one is thought to be the most haunted forest in the UK. And I was like, holy crap, because Daring was intense. Like,
there were so many. Well, because like Daring is like along with Pluckley and like so it was like a lot.
A combined. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I came across, this is going to be a brief intermission, not really, but like I came across one of the best paranormal gems in my whole life doing this research.
Okay.
So Haunted Rooms is a unique paranormal gem that I discovered in my research for this case. They started out as a haunted hotel directory. Don't you love that?
I love that.
So according to their website, hauntedrooms.co.uk, quote, hauntedrooms.co.uk became a reality in early 2009 in response to the public's ever-present interest in the paranormal. Primarily a hotel directory, Haunted Rooms offers people the chance to experience something spooky firsthand, whilst also enjoying the luxuries of staying in a hotel. Many other hotel directories tend to concentrate on the view from the room, the food, or whether there's a TV or internet connection. While all those things are good to know before you book a stay anywhere, what really sets a hotel apart from the rest for us is how many ghosts it has, which room number the dark shadow can be seen in, and where the transparent girl is seen playing, end quote. Don't you love that?
I love it so much. I also like want to know, because I'm assuming it's like a UK thing, so it's mostly UK places, but like I want an American version of this.
I do too.
Please.
We need to look to see if there's not, we should. Why not? In all of our free time, all our spare time.
All of the free time we have.
All of the free time.
We have so much.
Between a master's degree and work and dogs and
podcast
and
so much.
Yes, I love that. So, Haunted Rooms also hosts ghost hunts, which it seems like that's the UK way to say paranormal investigations. I don't know. I mean, they used both terms interchangeably, it seems, but they favor ghost hunt. So,
I mean, one, ghost hunt is just shorter.
Yeah,
so if you're like having to say it a lot.
Paranormal investigation. Investigation.
Ghost hunt. I'd probably lean towards ghost hunt. So,
they even have a page on their site that talks about ghost hunting equipment and where to buy it. Right?
Nice.
I love it. I love it so much. I love them. And I hope they hear this one day so that we can be friends. So, now buckle up, kids, because before I dive into this lengthy quote from Haunted Rooms about Epping Forest, it's important to remember that the forest is 5,900 acres and it's just over 9 square miles. So over time, like I said before, the community kind of grew up around it. So there's a lot in the quote, you're going to hear a lot of like landmark type of things. that we didn't really talk about. It's just know it's just part of the whole thing. Also, this is a lengthy quote, but as we always say, why rephrase something that someone else wrote so beautifully and we can just give them credit because we're all about giving credit. So, okay, again, according to Haunted Rooms, and this is on their website, quote, the haunted history of Epping Forest is notorious. So much so, Most Haunted, side note, Most Haunted, I believe, is a television show in the UK.
Okay.
And I think there's an American version as well. But that's the best thing I could come up with.
An American version that is not Ghost Adventure.
That is not Ghost Adventure. Yes. Okay. But so much so, Most Haunted carried out a live show here in 2003, hoping to locate the ghost of Dick Turpin, whom they believe they came in contact with. Due to its reputation as one of the most haunted forests in England, ghost hunts are regular throughout the year. As well as the ghost of Turpin, there are numerous other sightings and experiences that have occurred at Epping throughout the years. The ghost of Boudicca, queen of the British Iceni tribe, I'm so sorry, AD 60, so AD letters, 60, is believed to haunt the forest. Poltergeist activity is also a regular occurrence.
I don't mess with poltergeist.
Right, I don't either. No. With people reporting being pushed or touched by unseen hands. Apparitions have been known to show themselves. Also, one occasion, a man was spotted wearing a tricorn hat and cape on a black horse. Tricorn hat, think like John Adams,
like a triangle hat.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Apparitions have been known to show themselves. Also, on one occasion, I read that part. At the Wake Arms roundabout. Okay. At the Wake Arms roundabout, the headless apparition of a bicyclist, okay, not motorcycle, bicycle, but biker, and a horse-drawn coach has been seen in the dead of night. So we have a headless horseman and a headless bicyclist. A troubled spirit is said to run out in front of vehicles. Listen, this is the one that I was like, oh my God. Not that the rest of those, yeah, it's just not that the rest of those are not like, ugh,
listen,
but
the other ones are creepy, but this one is like dangerous for the living.
Yeah. So a troubled spirit is said to run out in front of vehicles, staring into the driver's eyes before disappearing right in front of them. And the ghost of a young girl who reportedly drowned near the King's Oak pub has been seen, as well as a headless horseman, so like an actual headless person on horseback.
If I was driving and saw somebody run out of the woods,
yes,
stare into my eyes, and then vanish, I would be like, first of all, did somebody slip me something?
Yeah.
Am I on drugs?
Yeah.
I would also probably just like shit my pants.
I 100% would. Yeah.
Like,
Remind me once because I'm almost done. So like once we're done, I have a story for you. Just like someone running out in front of a car.
Okay.
So continuing on just a little bit further, at Hangmans Hill, which is a part of the Epping area.
Did you say
Hangmans?
Okay.
Yep, Hangmans. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that like what I suspect it was? Okay. Cool.
Back, when public executions were a thing.
Did you know that the last public execution in the United States happened in Kentucky in the 1900s?
What?
Yeah.
Of course it did. Jeez. Oh. So, at Hangman's Hill, there have been reports of an apparition of a young man being seen in the wooded area. Terrifying screams are also heard here. If you leave your car in neutral on the hill, your vehicle will appear to roll upwards towards the tree where people had been hanged. End quote. Yep.
Up the hill.
Up the hill.
Towards the tree.
Yes.
I don't know.
However, I have seen stuff like this on Ghost Adventures, which again, I'm always here to make fun of Ghost Adventures. You know me. And Zach Bigglebites. We all know that. But one thing I do give them credit for is that they do try to disprove things. Like they do try to be like, obviously there's a draft in the window, or there's like a thing that's an actual explanation for what we're seeing. They came across something that a car seemed to roll across train tracks and like get stuck on some train tracks by themselves if you left them in neutral, which obviously is like a horrible thing because like don't tell teenagers that because they're gonna go get their car stuck on the train tracks and then a train's gonna come, the whole thing. Okay, so like let's not do that. But
when you were in driver's ed, did they ever make you watch the videos of the trains hitting the cars?
Yep.
Yeah, I was terrified of trains for a really long time.
Yeah. But they proved that even though it looks like it should be going uphill, it was actually like physically, it's actually going
like a
downhill.
Slight downgrade.
It's a slight downgrade. So I don't know. I didn't look up the hill, honestly, because I was kind of freaked out. I didn't look up a picture of Hangmans Hill at Epping Forest. I probably should have, but I don't know. Let's do it. Why not?
A quick Google.
Like, what if it's like a steep uphill? Then that's going to be like, even worse. So, okay. I feel like it's one of those that it could be actually a downgrade rather than up. But I can see how it for sure would look like it's going uphill.
Yeah, it's less creepy if it's not like you know,
a 90, you know, yeah. Oh, yeah. So, but anyway, either way, that would be freaky. I wouldn't want to see that. And I'm not going to say it's not a paranormal thing just because I don't know. But yeah, that's bad for it.
That was one.
Right. We love a haunted forest.
There were so many ghosts.
Right?
And
there's even more that I didn't even talk about. So like during war times, they created these like I can't remember what they were called, but like slopes in the land, like man-made little hill things, like kind of small, kind of like shelter
bunkers
kind of thing, kind of, but not holes in the ground. It was mostly just like little knolls that they built that they could like hide behind or like use to get like the upper ground, you know. And they say you can hear drums, like military drums. And stuff like that. So, yeah.
Also, military drums would terrify me.
I would shit myself.
Yeah, no. You're just on a little walk in the forest and you're already on edge. And then you hear drums. That's like, you know, when you hear West Virginia, or if you hear banjo in West Virginia, run. Faster. Yeah. Also, like, how did you end up on a bicycle in a forest? Because I assume it wasn't like a mountain bike, and I just feel like they were not made for forestry whenever you lost your head. Yeah. Unless you were riding your bicycle and you got abducted and you were dragged into the forest and decapitated, and now you like ride your bike around. Yeah. And didn't you say there was also like a little girl? Oh my, I hate a little girl ghost. They're way creepier. Like some people are like, oh no, like it's sweet. And I'm like, this is terrifying.
Yeah. I don't do kid ghosts. That's poltergeisty. I don't do that. But there were 2 young girls for sure killed in the woods that I know of. I'm sure there's more. The ghost of a young girl who reportedly drowned near Kings Oak Pub.
Okay, but do you think that the ghost is like dripping water? Because probably. That's so much creepier.
For sure. Yeah. I don't like that. Nope. But yeah.
Well, thank you.
I'll be thinking about that the next time I go on a hike in the fall.
Oh yeah.
And I can smell it.
And you can smell that smell.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Don't love that.
See, this is why all of the true crime podcasts have like "don't go into the woods" phrases.
Yeah, like don't go into the woods. And that's why our thing says into the
dun, 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 into the woods.
No, I will tell you later.
You'll tell me later.
The story I was going to tell you about someone coming out, running out in front of a car. Okay, so years ago, Zach's grandfather was in the hospital not doing very well.
Yes.
He since passed away since that trip. But so we were on our way to Iowa to visit his family, and it was the February after we got together. So we've been together for 4 years. So I mean, it was about 3.5 years ago or whatever now. Zach's parents are divorced, and so his mom went with us, like drove us up there because she obviously is still very close. She has family up in Iowa as well. So like she, took us up there. But on the way up there, so in February, it still gets dark really early, right? So it's like 6 o'clock, 6:30, creeping closer to 7 or 7:30 even. So it is getting dark. So we're just on the road, just going, and his mom is driving and we're on the highway, and out of nowhere into the headlight beam we see someone dressed in a black hoodie, dark denim jeans with their hood up that she's driving in. Okay. She swerves out of the way, misses him, everything's fine, but we are all left shaking after that. We are in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Like just a lot of flat land.
A lot of flat land. No, I mean, we're just driving past farmland. Like, that's what it looks like. So I'm like, I don't know where they're coming from, where they're going. There's nothing around for miles. And it was freaky. It was so freaky. And he looked like he made eye contact.
Yeah.
Like, he just like looked through the windshield. Ugh. Oh my gosh. It was crazy.
Yeah. It
was crazy. And I can still like picture it. Like I can picture it. Oh my gosh. It was freaky. It was so scary. But yeah.
Well, I thoroughly enjoyed this.
Okay.
If you're watching on YouTube, we kind of are set up a little bit differently. And so let us know what you think of this.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying something new.
Hoping that I will have better audio because it's my fault. Because I keep looking at Piff the whole time that we're talking. And so I'm looking sideways and the mic's not catching me as much. And I have a really hard time breaking that habit. So we moved the table.
So now you can look at me.
And talk into the microphone.
And it's still direct. So hopefully.
Yes.
Hopefully it's good things. Let us know. Leave a comment.
Leave a review so we can get Josh back on the podcast.
Well, this has been a wild ride. Thank you guys for listening. And in the meantime, stay safe out there. Thanks for watching. Music by Purple Planet. Art by Ruby Congrove. Logo by Catherine Dodds. For more information and our sources, head over to notsogreatoutdoors.com. For updates and announcements, make sure you follow us on Instagram and Twitter at NSGOPod. Don't forget to subscribe on all of your favorite podcasting platforms.